Hello, everybody, and welcome back with the Fab Fatties. My name is Alyssa.
I'm Rebecca.
I'm Allie.
We are really excited for today's episode. This topic has led to, some really deep, difficult conversations behind the scenes. Has absolutely led to confrontation. It has absolutely led to,
throwing hands. Just kidding.
No hands have been thrown, but it has been really difficult to talk about, and it is one of the reasons why we've sat on this topic for so long, and that is medical care.
Mm-hmm. Da-na-na.
I mean, that's how it feels, though. Mm-hmm. It feels really, really heavy. I think it's important for us to say up front that our rules will be the same. We will not talk with specific numbers. We are not giving medical advice. And we are going to just talk authentically about our experiences. But this is our safe space. And this is really important to talk about.
Yeah.
It is really important to talk about. It's also really scary to talk about. So, we are taking a few deep breaths here in the studio and keeping ourselves grounded, but it's scary to put yourself out here like this, while we can also acknowledge that it is extremely necessary.
Yeah. I mean, I think for so many fat people, going to the doctor is scary on its own.
Yes.
Because so much of our health is weaponized against us. And if we talk about anything that is deemed poor health, if we talk about anything that we're experiencing, it can often be turned towards us as a way to prove a point about our existence, about our health, about our bodies, about the way we care for ourselves, etc. And what happens is it keeps health in a deep, dark, shameful closet that we do not feel empowered to talk about with our friends and loved ones and with professionals.
Yes.
And I think the only way out of it is to carve out spaces to talk about those things. To recognize that every single person and every single body type faces health issues, but they don't all experience the same reception of those health issues. And that is something we want to talk about from our perspectives as fat women. How's our health perceived? How are we given care? And how do we make sense of health as we navigate it all?
And I think as you were saying, everybody deals with medical, everybody, every shape, every size, every gender, every color, everything deals with health and medical issues. Also applies that everyone deserves
healthcare.
Everyone deserves healthcare. Everyone deserves healthcare, and that's a different topic too. But everyone deserves healthcare, but everyone deserves to feel heard.
Ooh, beautiful.
Within the healthcare system, everyone deserves
compassionate healthcare.
Mm-hmm. Everyone deserves to feel like someone gives a shit about their health. If they give a shit about their health.
There's a difference between caring, like legitimately caring, and then damning someone for what you perceive their health to be, and damning them for what they look like. I think as fat people who are just out existing publicly, we often get told we're living wrong, we're taking care of our health wrong, we're doing X, Y, Z, based on a picture of us smiling at a movie. You know what I mean? Like, it could be literally anything, obesity. Right? And so I think there is this line that people often make fuzzy of what does care look like, because for some people care is harsh truths, and I am putting that in air quotes because truths is not everyone agrees on what the truth is. An absolute just damning of someone to not live up to someone else's ideals of health, and I don't consider that care.
Yeah.
I also just want to I'm gonna let you go, Alyssa, but I also just want to also preface this episode with, we are fully aware of where some of this content is going to end up. And honestly, we don't want to give those kind of people that much space. But for people who spend their entire days watching videos of fat people living in larger bodies, just so that they can make hateful reactionary commentary on them and then point the finger at us and say we're the problem, what a sad life for you. sir. But what a sad life for you. So we are fully aware that our stories and our words here can get twisted and warped into it's our fault, right? Air quotes. It can very easily get warped, and it will get warped, and we know exactly what channels it's going to show up on. And regardless of all of that, everybody deserves to be heard. So that's what we're doing here today.
Today we're going to be sharing some personal stories and experiences, and it is extremely vulnerable to do that. To summarize everything that my two lovely co-hosts said prior, it is you can be healthy and you can be unhealthy at any size. And today we are just talking about experiences, fatphobic experiences that we have had in medical treatment facilities. So yeah, it's scary, and we're gonna start jumping in here a little bit.
So when we were first thinking about this conversation, because we do plan for it to be a series, we're gonna have multiple episodes about being fat, health, healthcare advocacy, etc. We had a conversation that revealed that we were coming to this conversation from different standpoints, and that was a little bit tough. Okay, how do we see personal health? How do we see our role? How do we see what we owe to people or not? And what we realized in that moment was we didn't all perceive it or understand it or come to that conversation from the same viewpoint. And what we needed to figure out is, okay, well, how do we share this table? How do we come together? What are some of the things that do ground us, even if we have some differences? So we do want to explain kind of some of those thoughts because you yourself might have different thoughts about health.
Hey everyone, did you know that the Fab Fatties are on Patreon? Yes, we are. And you can follow us for more behind the scenes chaos. We have bloopers, we have Allie raging, we have, me climbing out windows. I don't know. We just have a bunch of crazy stuff over there. Yeah, so you can find us on Patreon. That's
Patreon.com/the Fab Fatties.
PATE.
No.
PATREON.
That's what I said.
.com/the Fab Fatties.
And we will see you over there.
And I think it's not so much like we want to sit here and explain to you guys, but I think Alyssa and I just I don't know. Let's have a conversation. Again, when we first started talking about this, and I know I brought this up in our introductory statements in this episode, but yes, health looks different to everybody, and I personally believe that no one owes health to anyone. We all have one life to live. And as soon as you figure out that you don't have to live it for anybody else, that's when it becomes the most fun, I think. But I think that because I am so passionate about, autonomy and agency and just, feeling as empowered as you possibly can be, that has to apply across the board for me. So for me, that means I can't tell anybody what to do with their body, with their mental health, with their this, with their that. And sure, yeah, can I say going on a walk is good for your health? It's good for your mental health. It's good for your physical health. Yes, I can, right? But I also don't think that I need to tell anyone that they need to do that. I think it's also a matter of I think we often get infantilized, treated like children kind of, and we as in fat people very often get talked to as if, oh, I've never heard just eat less, run more, Oh, I've never heard, have you tried losing weight? You don't need to hear from me, go take a walk. You don't need to hear from me, drink some water for your mental health. That, we've all been in, very toxic diet culture for a very long time. I think we all understand the basics of it at this point. And I just think that it can look so different to everybody what health means. So I'm never going to say you owe it to somebody to be healthy. You owe it to somebody to be the best version of yourself, because I think you just owe it to yourself to be the happiest version of yourself and try to get there. And I know that that's not easy either, because I'm still working on being that person, And I think you and I, Alyssa, have very similar thoughts there, but also differ there too.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm never going to tell someone that they need to do something for their health. So,
yeah.
I feel very, very strongly that health the word health is really triggering because of diet culture. I think health has been packaged to look a specific way, to perform a specific way. And I am actively flipping that off. I think that is bullshit. I think health sometimes for someone can look like sleeping on the couch all day. I think for someone else, it could look like going to the gym in the morning. I think for someone else, it could be eating a brownie for dessert that night.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I think the word health has just been weaponized so much that in my journey and in my recovery, I think the most empowering thing that I've been given is to redefine what health means. So I very much think some days for my health, I'm taking a day off of work and I'm laying in bed. And I think some days for my health, I'm getting up from my desk in the middle of the workday and going to walk because I need some fresh air and to get outside. You know, none of the way that I view the word health comes from diet culture anymore. For the same exact reason, I think you do owe yourself health because you do only get one life to live. You know, I think taking the time to redefine it for yourself and show up for yourself is so empowering. I do also feel like there's an aspect of owing it to the people who love you and you love to take care of yourself. I know that that is tricky and that is icky and there is multiple levels to that. So I want to say that like there's an access issue with that, right? Like some people don't have access to healthcare. I have seen some of my closest loved ones struggle so desperately and horribly with their mental health. And you can reach out a hand and you can want to help them, but you can't unless they want to help themselves, right? So I think there is an aspect there of, gosh, do I know how hard it is to get out of bed some days, you know? And I'm really thankful for the people in my life who can encourage me and support me and help get me there. And I don't want to give up. I want to show up for myself and I want to show up for the people who love me. So while there's aspects to what you said that I absolutely agree with, I am never, ever, 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 ever telling someone what they have to do because I don't know.
Yeah.
People did that to us, right? And that's where I know me and you will look at each other and be like, that's bullshit. We've listened. We've done what we're supposed to do and it has harmed us. Supposed to, all air quotes, do. And it has caused us physical and mental and well-being harm. That's why I would never turn around and cause that harm to someone else. I see you getting emotional.
Yeah, I just had a big realization, but go ahead.
I just want to encourage people to redefine that definition for themselves. And I feel strong about that because of the difference it has made for me in my life. Because fuck diet culture.
So I realized while you were saying all of that you and I are saying the exact same thing and have the exact same belief. Because I said in what I said before you started talking, I believe people owe themselves happiness because they have one life.
Yeah.
And happiness can look many different ways, right? I am still wrapped up in a version of if I tell someone that they owe their health, quotation marks, to themselves or to their families or to their loved ones, that means they have to be skinny.
No.
And I realize that as you're saying that, right? Because I sat here and said, I believe that you owe yourself happiness. Because what else are we doing with this life other than trying to be happy, right? But I realized while you were talking about that happiness looks different to everybody. Happiness may look like spending your entire day at the gym. And if that's what it is, then have fun, you know? But if it's not, you're not going to fucking demonize me for it, right?
By the way, too, with that notion, right?
Yeah.
Happiness to me is not walking outside, but it was walking through the mall with my friends.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah.
Right? I'm still moving my body. I'm doing something that I enjoy.
Yeah. And I think the big thing that hit me is that, like, I keep thinking about my dad. And how there was just there was a big notion in my family. Everybody felt very comfortable talking about my dad and what he owed to his family, to himself. And that generally meant that he owed a smaller body. When now I think about my dad, the dad I didn't get to have, because what he really owed himself was happiness. And I don't think he got a chance to explore what that meant to him, because he was just kept getting told that your happiness is dependent on living in a smaller body.
Yeah. And from medical providers, he was told that, from what you've shared.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel so passionate about this conversation. I'm really held tight on the health part, right? It's that word. It's so loaded. And you both have taught me what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, that's what my thought is. Like, there's two things you said that if you had not done your explanation ahead of time, would have triggered me. All right? First being owing health. Mm-hmm. The second being giving up. And that's because those two phrases are weaponized against everybody, really, but especially fat people, right? And so when I hear don't give up, or I shouldn't give up on myself, I shouldn't do that in a health context, for so many people that's stopping dieting.
Yes.
And so therefore we're giving up if we've stopped dieting. Correct. Right? And so when we're going around and we're talking in a general public sense, or even with friends who haven't taken the time to be like, well, what does health mean to you? Right? It can be very easily triggering. Those phrases, it's almost like we need a whole new language to talk about it outside of that system.
Yeah. Yeah, Allie, I want to hold some space. No, please do not apologize. We can either hold space not recording or while we are recording, but I do want to hold space for what's coming up because it's so heavy.
I just, it's no secret to you guys. I have a lot of regrets when it comes to my dad. And obviously with, him not being here, there's nothing I can do about them, right? But there's just so many layers to him and who he was that I only get to learn and process now that he's gone. And that's really hard. It's really hard because I didn't know any of this, I didn't know any of this when I still had him. And I wish I did. Because there were times in my life where I was mad at him because he wasn't pursuing quote unquote health in the way that I was taught health was supposed to look like.
You can't punish yourself for that. You can't punish yourself. This is honestly copy and paste the same stuff I tell my parents. My parents did the best that they could with the information they had available. They didn't know that they were encouraging me to have an eating disorder. They didn't know that.
Yeah.
Right? This is why it's so important to talk about, because it's not what's being packaged and delivered.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel for you because it can feel really
sad, frustrating.
It's really sad and frustrating. You're empowered in one sense, but you can't change this thing, right? I am proud of you for taking the empowered stance you have now, the views you have now, and at least communicating them with other people and approaching the people who are in your life currently with those views and with that compassion, right? Yeah. We can't go back in time and know what we know now. That's like that scenario of like, can you go back to high school being an adult that knows what you know now? That's a movie.
I wish I could.
It's a movie, We don't get to play out that storyline. But let me tell you, as much as that learning may not have helped him, I am sure that there is something about a legacy of his story helping you with yours. Seeing what happened with him and changing it for yourself, right?
That was really beautiful.
And what a gift to get from learning from your dad.
Yeah, my dad was just a really special person, and he did have mental health issues that I do wish he had put some time into. But no, I don't think he owed them to me, but my dad was a special person that it just hurts. It hurts because he was a special person that was only seen for his size. Mm-hmm. And he was so much more than that.
We are all so much more than that.
I mean, I hate to segue. We don't have to segue.
No, we can segue for sure.
The whole being seen as just your size is why medical professionals are so hard to go talk to, because it's hard to find a medical professional who wants and takes the time to see the whole picture, doesn't just look at the weight and say XYZ, or even finding a doctor who doesn't look at weight as meaning one thing. You know, like, you could get doctors who maybe won't say anything, but they're not looking at weight as a complex situation, you know? And so, like, navigating situations where you are going in with the possibility, with a very high likelihood of being seen only for your size, and having to advocate for yourself and having to mentally prepare for it, having to deal with misdiagnosis or bad medical care in the process, is a humongous task that prevents fat people from seeking out professional help to begin with, but also means that the professional help they get isn't always up to standard.
That leads me directly into the first question I wanted to ask today.
Okay.
Which is, I feel like sometimes online we see the stories from folks in larger bodies being like, oh, I went for knee pain and I was prescribed weight loss. Mm-hmm. What is your personal most blind side of a weight loss diagnosis? I don't know what word we want to use there. Prescription, I think is the right word. When were you most caught off guard by a weight loss prescription from a doctor?
Well, it's interesting because I thought you were going somewhere differently at first. I thought you were going to a place where our weight meant they changed the way we were treated, and definitely have something for that.
Oh, I like this angle.
I would say, I mean, probably the one that shocked me the most is just because I was a teenager. So I was in high school and going to my family physician I had seen for forever. I was probably pretty young, probably before driving age. I don't know what I was going there for. If I were to guess, potentially heavy periods.
Okay.
That's my first thought. And the doctor very casually said, well, have you thought about having weight loss surgery? And
right to surgery.
Yeah. And so, well, that doctor had also put me on phentermine, which gave me heart palpitations and such. So she had given me a pill form to make me lose weight before then. But I think I was, this was pretty early on. My aunt had weight loss surgery already at the time, but she was one of the very early people to have it. And it seemed like such a scary thing. And not to say that it's not scary now, but being decades into people having this surgery feels very different than being like 1 to 2 years to it becoming a popular surgery.
Yeah.
And I would say as an adult, I was also told to have weight loss surgery. And then I asked her, because at that point in time, I had already looked into it a couple of times. And I was like, okay, but I don't qualify in XYZ ways. And she had no idea any of that. So I was like, okay, so you just saw fat equals, say, weight loss surgery. Like, she didn't actually know anything about weight loss surgery. And as soon as I asked her a couple questions, I was like, got it. Understood.
That's super fucking frustrating. Mm-hmm. I think mine actually was very recent, and you guys were both a part of this time in my life. It was after my dad passed away. It was after, I left my marriage. I was just not in a good place. And I was very quickly and very unexplicably losing weight. And not just losing weight, I was losing my hair. I was very drastically seeing changes in my body that I was unintentionally... I was not doing any of it intentionally. There was no dieting. There was no, I wasn't doing anything to make any of that happen. And so a couple of times I got really sick, and every doctor that I went to, I'm like, hey, this is really concerning me. Every single one. Congratulations. I am sick, doc. Mm-hmm. I am sick. I feel fucking terrible. I feel like I'm on the verge of passing out every morning. Every time I come in here, I'm another handful of pounds down, and my hair keeps fucking falling out, and you're telling me congratulations. So that to me told me all you see is just, as long as I'm smaller, it's a win.
Yeah.
And that felt the most invalidating out of, because I've had the doctors who were like, oh, you know, your stomach hurts, lose weight. You know, like, oh, your head hurts, lose weight. And all of those got trumped by the, hey, I think there's something wrong with me. Congratulations.
I'm just trying to imagine going to a dentist, like, hey, this tooth is turning a different color. And there's like, they're like, well, I like the decoration of it. Let's look at your other teeth. You know?
Right?
Like, they get to decide if it's a good or bad thing, regardless of you coming in to address that thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm embarrassed to admit mine.
Don't be.
Because it feels very shameful. I was in high school, and I have these like little bumps on my arms, like up at the top. It's really common apparently.
I do too.
Okay, I wanted to do something about it at the time. I don't know. I just wanted to. And I went to a dermatologist. I've not been to a dermatologist since this experience. Oh. Mm-hmm. But I went in, and she never asked me why I was there. She went straight to the acne on my face. She went, great, let's do something about this. And then she went and then she like finished up telling me all about my skincare, my face. And she went, great, so what are we doing about the weight? And
Jesus Christ.
Was so unbelievably embarrassed. My mom was there in the room and like just literally, completely froze. And truly, I like have wanted to go to a dermatologist since. I've been told that I should like go get my skin checked out and stuff, and I literally cannot get myself to go. I scheduled an appointment, I canceled it because it just like I was so. I feel like there's an aspect of like as a fat person when you're going to the doctor, you like prepare yourself.
You do,
right? You're like ready for it. You like you know how you want to answer the questions at some point. Like you're like I'm ready to go, and I just was not ready, and it landed so aggressively. Like I literally was there for bumps on my arms, and we never even talked about it.
Well, I think that's just so indicative of exactly what we're talking about, right? It's, you know, I told the doctor I had knee pain and they prescribed weight loss, right?
Yep.
It's constantly being invalidated. It's constantly being unseen, unheard, and saying, hey, I also deserve medical care for the things that I care about without you taking one look at me and thinking weight loss is going to solve all of my problems.
Yep. Yeah.
Because it's not.
Yeah.
It's just that, and that, again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not giving medical advice, but it's just not. And that's a fact.
Well, what it shows is that your doctor's approach alone can alter your health journey.
Yes.
I'm curious about like a situation with a doctor where you feel like they did alter your health journey in some kind of way. Yeah. For me, one of the biggest health issues I've found until I got an IUD. An IUD, bless you, IUD. Honestly, an IUD has changed my life, okay? As I've always had period issues. Very heavy periods, no periods for months, heavy periods. So I was going through a situation where I was having really heavy periods that were unending, like 3-month-long period, etc. I went in to see my doctor. I was bouncing around different family doctors at the time, and my doctor happened to be gone. I saw another doctor who was relatively young and a man, and not that that really gives him any leeway, but I went in and I was like, okay, I was prescribed these birth control pills, but I'm still experiencing X, Y, Z, and he's like, and I was like, I don't know if it has something to do with my body size. I immediately put it on my body size. I was like, I don't know if this has something to do with my body size. I don't know if that means the dosage needs to go up. That's literally what I said, not knowing anything about anything. And he's like, that might be right. What if you double your dose? This man decided to have me double my birth control dose. That's not what should happen. Mm-hmm. You are probably just having the wrong hormone in your body. This made the lining in my uterus get so big and be so hard and painful to pass that I had to have a DNC to remove the lining of my uterus, which is the blood lining. DNCs are often what's performed after you can't successfully hold a baby, things like that. It's clearing out your uterus. And I was young enough at that point in time that I never said anything to anyone. I just assumed it was my fault. Never said, hey, this person put me on a medical plan that harmed me, that made me lose so much blood I had to get infusions, that made me have to pay and have a DNC process. that's one of the things, like, now at my age, at the wise old age of almost 37, like, I am going to tell on you. If you are a medical person who harms me, I will be reporting you. But back then, my fault. My fault. So I am curious. It doesn't necessarily have to be negative. Have you had a medical professional that changed the direction of your health journey?
I did.
And I will say, after that, I met another male gynecologist. I switched to another gynecologist. And he said something that made a lot of sense. He said, when you have fat in your body, fat cells actually create testosterone. And so what you need to balance your system is progesterone. You should have never been on birth control. You should have been on this progesterone hormone. And they have a birth control version of that, and they have just the hormone version of that. As soon as I went on progesterone, I had normal periods for years.
How incredibly frustrating that the answer was so simple.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. And literally just because at the time I wasn't having sex, I didn't care to have a birth control. I just stayed on progesterone hormones, and it affected my mood. It affected everything.
I'm not saying this because I think it's going to be groundbreaking. I'm saying this because my dad said it to me, and it was groundbreaking for me. And my dad looked at me one time and he goes, somewhere out there is the world's worst doctor. And I was like, damn, you're so right. Just because they're a doctor does not mean that they know everything. And it made me feel empowered to start questioning some things.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you want to take that even further, those are usually the doctors that insurance companies are calling up to say, hey, do we have a valid reason to deny this claim? And they send the file to that doctor, the doctor that has never seen the patient, never put hands on the patient, to say, yeah, absolutely, because of this. And it's usually that kind of doctor. So, yeah, your dad's right. And also, isn't it wild? Isn't it fucking wild? God, I'm mad now. Isn't it wild? I'm sorry. This doctor basically forced you to have an abortion. Isn't it wild?
There was no baby.
I'm sorry. I know, but it's just, I go to extremes. Isn't it wild that this second doctor took 2 seconds to instead say, instead of, well, you're fat, so we're going to have to, just, I don't know, let's fuck some shit up, to just go, okay, you have extra fat on your body, so here's the solution that has nothing to do with you being whatever. I'm angry.
Literally, and the second doctor, literally nothing was judgmental, nothing was any of that. He was like, you need this. With your body the way it is, you need this.
He literally was just,
thank you, sir. That is what I need.
X plus Y equals Z, and this is what you need. Like, that's it. And the other guy's like, oh, I don't fucking know, just double it.
And I'm like,
bro,
I think it's because I suggested it. I suggested, like, is it a dosage thing? I'm like, you made a medical decision off of a 22, 23-year-old saying maybe it's a dosage issue because I just assumed my body's bigger. I need bigger pills.
22, 23-year-old who, no offense, never went to medical school?
No.
Okay, cool. Oh, all right. Well, I'm angry, and I'm already angry, so let's get on to my guy. He's still very much practicing here in Charlotte. He's a urologist, and I'm going to preface this with, I know I don't need to explain this or anything, but I have always had urology issues. I've always had kidney issues. I was born with a deformed kidney. It looked like a cat's paw. They're supposed to look like kidney beans. And also, I have an extra large bladder. These two can pee 10 times a day. And meanwhile, I'm like, I'm good, you guys. I'm fucking good. Because normally a bladder is the size of a golf ball. Mine's the size of a softball. So now you know more about me than you ever needed to. But I digress.
Literally yesterday, I'm like,
no, I was going to say it too.
I was like, what's wrong with y'all? I've gone bathroom twice since we've been together.
Stop bladder shaming me.
I went once.
I didn't realize you had gone, but I often worry about Allie. I'm like, how have I peed this many times and you haven't gone at all?
Because I have a superpower.
Okay.
I just got a big ass bladder. I got a big ass bladder. Anyway, so I've always had these issues. It is not because I'm fat, but I've always had these issues. And since I was a little kid, I literally had like major reconstructive surgeries in 4th and 5th grade. I was like homebound for most of 4th and 5th grade because I was recovering from these surgeries. Like, I've always had these issues. But it wasn't until 2021, I believe, that I had my very first kidney stone. And it was fucking so painful. Absolutely so painful. I did find out later that actually a medication that my previous doctor had put me on that was quote unquote supposed to help me with some mental health stuff, I also found out was kind of covertly supposed to do a little bit of weight loss magic, which I wasn't aware of, can also lead to, helping you develop kidney stones. I digress. I go in because I have this kidney stone. I went to the ER and they're like, oh no, you have a massive fucking kidney stone and we could let you pass it, but that would honestly be irresponsible of us. So we need you to go and get it taken out. So they refer me to this guy. I go and see him and he's like, no, we're going to take it out this afternoon. And I told this man I have taken AZO. It is, they make a lot of different products, but they make like when you have a bladder infection, like a urinary tract infection, they make a pill that makes it hurt less, right? But it also turns your fucking everything in there fucking like red, like this bright orange red shit. Like it looks kind of crazy. Okay. I told this man that. I told him that. I go in for surgery that afternoon and it was unsuccessful. They could not get it out. And the AZO thing comes back later. But the first thing this motherfucker does when I wake up in recovery is say, you need to lose weight because we had a hard time regulating your anesthesia or regulating your breathing under anesthesia. And then proceeds to tell me that, also, we couldn't get that kidney stone in there because it looked like you had an entire bottle of fucking Orange Crush up there. Sir, I told you that I took AZO, number one. Number two, you fucked it up. And less than 24 hours later, I was back in the emergency room in septic shock. Because not only did he not get it out, but he dislodged it. And so in dislodging it, all of the shit that had been like behind the kidney stone as it was building and building, it was like there was bacteria and shit went into my bloodstream and I literally was dying. I was in the hospital for 5 fucking days. All right. So they did finally get it out. But yeah, the first thing that this man tells me upon waking up is not, hey, I'm so sorry. It wasn't successful. Hey, how you doing? Nothing. You need to lose weight because we had a hard time doing our job. Sir, I told you the information that you needed to know. And also, I don't understand. Anyway, I digress. So what did I do after that? I decided that was all of my fault. I called up this person I knew who was like a personal trainer and all this other shit. And I told this person, look, I am not going to be successful with like a majorly restrictive, like completely upending my life kind of thing. And what did she do? Can put me on a completely restrictive, upending my life kind of thing. We're like, oh no, just swap out your coffee for mushrooms. Like just the fucking weirdest kind of shit. And like I'm supposed to be drinking this clear broth stuff, like very restrictive diet kind of thing. And I was paying like a lot of fucking money for this, a lot of money. But yeah, I basically decided it was all my fault that I almost died because this man said that to me. Yeah.
I can go 2 ways. I can go negative because it was bad. And I can also go positive. So, do we have a preference?
I feel like you're going to talk about Dr. Everett.
Of course.
Let's talk about Dr. Everett.
Yeah, I started therapy with Katie in October of 2020. And gosh, sometimes when you just find the right person, you just know it. She asked all the right questions. She knew not to take certain answers. She knew when to she just was it for me. Like she just was able to, I think what was so beautiful was I wasn't ready to talk about a lot. And she got the context without triggering me, without pushing too much. And, at one point I started talking to Katie about my relationship with food and my body. And I don't know, for me, it wasn't like talking about it like it was a problem. It was like an offhanded comment. And she very much had to look at me and be like, that's not normal. And I was like, no, girl, it totally is. You're just skinny. Like, you don't get it. Like, what? Yeah. Like, yeah, it's normal. It's normal. And she was like, hey, I really think you need to go talk to my friend Taryn. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do another diet right now. I'm so frustrated. Like, I had just come off of my negative story. Was it got me to a place of one of the absolute worst, most restrictive places of my eating disorder I had been in. And I had just started to come out of that a little bit. And like, hey, the brain fog clears a little bit. And, you're just like, wow, I was feeling really shitty. So I just was like, no, 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 no. And I think I've shared before that I am the type of person that if you just keep pestering me, I will do it to get you to shut the fuck up. No, literally, take notes, girl. If I don't want to do something and you just continue to, I will do it to get you to shut up.
That's how you get her to Venmo you for coffee.
Oh my.
Only had to tell her once. I just told Venmo twice, but I didn't told you once.
Thank you.
Told you.
Record. Oh my God. So I go see Taryn, and Taryn is the person to pretty much be like, yeah, there's something going on here. And Taryn gets me connected with the one and the only Dr. Vanessa Everett. I'm gonna cry. I am gonna cry. But Dr. Everett is one of a kind, and she truly takes care of her people from the appointment all the way through. And the nursing staff is so good. I've never been able to walk into a doctor's office and have my blood pressure taken and it be accurate because I'm sitting there trying to not have a panic attack, you know? And then they want to use that number to like, I'm like, oh my God, I promise you I literally go as far to go to the firehouse where I feel more safe because my husband is there, and have my husband take my blood pressure so that I can tell people that I don't have blood pressure issues, because I go to the doctor's office and I just want to hyperventilate. Yeah. Like my whole body is freaking out. White coat syndrome is so real for me. And man, oh man, I've been seeing Dr. Everett now for 3 years, and every single appointment heals a different part of me. And I don't think she knows how amazing she is. And that makes her even more amazing. You know, like she's just doing her job. And I tell everyone to go and see her because I truly the staff is so good.
Yeah.
The staff is so good.
Yeah.
Dr. Everett is one of the first doctors to look at my blood work and say, you need to eat more. She looked at my blood work and said, I'm seeing these issues because you are restricting. The first doctor to see the whole picture. The first doctor to ask all of the questions before making a judgment. And that's why I said to the girls off camera before we started recording, the one thing I will say, and I will put my whole body into this, the only medical advice that I am going to give you is to find a doctor who gives a fuck.
Yeah.
Find a doctor who gives a fuck about you.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're fat or skinny. Everyone deserves to have a doctor who cares about them.
And shitty guy with a microphone. That doesn't mean, oh, well, they give a fuck when they tell you to lose weight. Fuck you. Continue.
Well, I was gonna say, just the fact that like you were having blood sugar issues, your blood sugar was going low, you were getting faint, those things. Right?
Yeah, remember that?
And like your doctor wanted you to look at your blood over a course of time to see what was happening, right?
Yes.
And then to like gather information about what was happening before, after that. Whenever I went in and I had something unusual in my blood work, he goes, what'd you have for breakfast this morning?
Jesus Christ.
And the answer for that morning apparently was the answer. I mean, like literally one meal. You know what I mean? Like,
that's the answer.
Well, you ate that today. It was, by the way, it was a piece of toast. All right. You ate bread for breakfast today. And I'm like, okay, well, I ate eggs 2 days ago. Like, what the fuck? You didn't ask that. You know what I mean? But that's the difference. And I will say, take those as cues.
Yes.
Take what questions they ask you as cues to what kind of information they feel they need to actually care for you.
And how they treat you.
Yeah. Not just the questions, but the assumptions they make from your answers.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you, Alyssa, because after all of these doctors were congratulating me for my body shrinking when I was like, I feel like I'm fucking dying, you told me to go to Dr. Everett. And I went to Dr. Everett. And now Dr. Everett is my doctor. And Dr. Everett was like, are you eating? And when I really sat back and looked at it, because I hadn't sat back and looked at it, because all these doctors are just like, congratulations, bitch. Yeah, good job. She's like, are you eating? I was like, I think so. What are you eating? Okay. All right. This feels personal, Dr. Everett, but okay, we'll talk about it. Yeah. Dr. Everett cared.
Yeah. Yeah. And so far as to, we'll get really into this in a different episode in the series, but how I advocate for myself at Dr. Everett's office is met with open arms.
Yes.
I'm not judged for how I advocate for myself and how I show up for myself. And sometimes that is by asking, hey, let's not take my blood pressure right now. I need a minute to sit in the office.
Yeah.
I was just about to ask you, like, what are some ways you found yourself advocating for yourself?
Oh, I do not get on the scale anymore. I do not get on the scale. They know that they can ask me for very specific things. Anesthesia, of course, they need to know my weight and things like that. They cannot put it in my chart online. I cannot have access to it. And yeah, I skip over that entire portion. Oh gosh, I wasn't going to share this, but I guess I will. I had just gone to the OB to start asking questions about starting a family and what that looks like. And I did not get on the scale there. It was my first time at the office. I said, no, thank you. And the doctor, because Dr. Everett's the best, called ahead and had a conversation with this doctor before she
Which
saw
is
me.
Amazing allyship and advocacy.
I love that.
Literally, when I tell, I didn't just cry for this woman for no reason. Like, she truly, she is doing the work.
Yeah.
She fucking cares.
Yeah.
And the thing is that she's so nonchalant about it that, like, I do want to give her credit for doing the work, but I also think that's just who she is as a human being.
Yes.
She doesn't see you as a number. She doesn't see you as a body. She just sees you as a human being. And how can I help you today?
Yes. But she called ahead and spoke to the OB before I went. And the OB was talking with me, that we talk about weight a lot in pregnancy to gauge the growth of the baby. So, like, we might need to figure out, how we can do that safely. Is there a different way that we need to, so that we're not triggering certain behaviors and things. So it has made all of the difference. And that's why I say this with my whole chest. Forget about everything anyone has ever taught you about health and diet culture. Find a doctor who you feel good with.
Yeah.
Trust your gut. Even if it wasn't a bad experience, it's not the same as it being a good experience.
Yes.
There is a difference.
I'm thinking about a time whenever I had to advocate for myself and it wasn't positive. I got a lot of pushback with advocating for myself.
Absolutely have to before.
Yeah, and I think that's something you have to prepare yourself for and know it's still worth it.
Yes.
Because I don't have to leave that doctor's office and go share a meal and have a relationship with that doctor. I literally don't have to ever see them again. So if you need to show your ass, might as well do it for your health. You know what I mean?
It's also their job.
It is their job. A couple years ago, I was having breathing issues. I was really struggling. And this is, again, like, the story that will be weaponized against me is this story. We had just gone through COVID, where we were very much housebound, and I was going back to working on campus. I work at a university. You don't park in front of your building and walk right in.
No, girl.
No. The parking lots are far removed. You have to walk a long distance, and it was wintertime. The air was thin. It doesn't matter. I was struggling to breathe. I was struggling to walk the distance and without having to take multiple breaks. And one of the things that I thought, okay, I am getting so exhausted getting into work. And I'm having this big thing, like, there's not necessarily benches everywhere to go sit and take a break. Like, I am really struggling to get into my building. Is there something that will benefit this, will help this situation? And so I thought, again, I'm like, okay, I can work on this. I can work on upping my aerobics. I can work on my breathing, all of that stuff. But in this moment, I can't get into work without elevating my blood pressure, all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I decided I was going to go to the doctor and ask for a temporary disability pass. And let me tell you, asking for a disability pass and them seeing it as only due to your size is not a fun activity to do. So I went in there, I described what was happening. I told her, hey, I had looked up what qualifies for this, and one of them is being unable to walk a certain distance. I'm not able to do that without multiple breaks, without having to stop to get breath control back, etc. And she said, I don't want to give this to you because it will enable you. And
my God.
Yeah. She's like, you need to deal with this problem, which is your weight. And if I do this for you, you don't have to. And in that moment, I went preparing myself for the fight. I went in knowing that this would likely get a fight back. And I'm sure there's people, I don't care, whatever. I went in knowing that. And this is what was in my toolbox, okay? The toolbox was, okay, well, this is where I'm currently at this very moment, and it qualifies for these things, okay? And I can work on those things, but I'm not going to magically be able to do this, and a time frame of 2-3 months can help me work on those things if I were to go along with your idea that they needed to be worked on, right? I need to be able to get to work safely, and that does include my body and my body's ability to get me there. And being able to park closer will help me get to my workplace safely. I can't not go to work. And then ultimately, when she was pushing back again, I said, okay, so I would like you to put it in my notes of this meeting that you have denied me this thing due to you feeling like it
will enable me.
As soon as I said I wanted it in the notes, she said, let me go talk to this other doctor on staff. Go ahead. Okay. Talks to the other doctor, comes back. I'm going to sign this for you, but I really think you need weight loss surgery. And I said, well, I've looked into weight loss surgery before, and I was turned away because of X, Y, and Z. She goes, oh, I really don't know what is required for you to have weight loss surgery. And that's that thing. And I said, so in your mind, you had a solution for me that you actually know nothing about. You know nothing about the surgery itself. You know nothing about this. You just assumed that that's the magic answer to the issue at hand. Yeah, that day did permanent damage for me with my doctors, me trusting doctors, me thinking doctors will see me, permanent damage on the way I saw myself. It did a lot of damage that day, and it carried a lot of shame because I think in general, if anyone has a disability, I think advocating for a disability is hard to do, and harder when someone assumes that disability as your fault. Like she absolutely saw that as I did this to myself, etc., right? Versus just understanding there was no way for me to get past the issue I was having without some support. And I think she saw it as enabling. I saw it as support for me to living a healthy lifestyle, which would be being able to go to work and not have my blood pressure and my breath go out of sorts just to get there.
Also think about the mental toll that was taking, knowing what you were dealing with every time that you were going to work, like what you knew that you were having to prepare yourself for and going to work. And think about all the people that don't have these tools, that don't have that aren't prepared to put up that fight at the doctor's office, who will then say, well, you know what? I can't do it anymore. So they either lose their jobs or they try and fight to have, to be able to do their job, work from home if they're able to. We know that that's a privilege, but it's so invalidating, and it's so like, why is it wrong to ask you to care that I do want to participate in this world as best as I can, and I'm just asking for some support?
Well, and that's my question. Like, what if my breath control didn't get better? I'm just what? You just want to punish me? You want to make sure I feel it? You want to make sure I struggle to get to work so that I know it's my fault? Like, what does that mean, right? Like, what do you want for me to then experience? Hardship going to work? Scary moments where I can't catch my breath? That's what you want me to experience because it's my fault?
And it's so disgusting because these doctors will constantly, oh, well, just lose weight, just have, I had a friend that I was her doctor buddy, and we'll talk about this later on in our series. But it is nice to have a bulldog to go to the doctor with you. And hi, that's me. But we were going to the doctor for her knee, and this doctor right out of the gate was, well, you need to lose weight, and have you thought about weight loss surgery? She was in there inquiring about knee surgery. Well, we can't do knee surgery because of your BMI. Okay, what does my BMI have to do with? Well, because of anesthesia. Okay, but you can put me under anesthesia for weight loss surgery, but not for the knee surgery. Make it fucking make sense. Make it make sense. Because they'll prescribe weight loss surgery all goddamn day long, but then tell you that they can't put you under anesthesia for the actual problem that you're dealing with. Because maybe if my knee didn't hurt so fucking much, maybe I could go on that walk that you think I'm not going on, or what the fuck ever.
Yeah.
Alyssa, you were getting upset.
Yeah, I'm a little upset.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry you were treated that way.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I'm like sitting right now. Is like I started dissociating a little bit because the people don't deserve to be treated like that, period. And people, I'm going to say this. People don't deserve to be treated poorly, period. I think people deserve to be treated well. I think people are innately good. These doctors will do something harmful, and I understand they have intentions, and their intentions also matter, but you need to also have the intention of wanting to do good and like learn to do good for all of your patients. And I'm sitting here and I'm just like, how sad and impactful, and also like, we know what we're doing putting this out there, right? Like, I'm just like really sitting in the, I feel the quote unquote, you deserve to be attacked because of the body you're in. And it's harmful. It's hurtful.
Yeah.
It's hurtful.
Yeah. And
she wanted you to feel shame.
Good. Yeah, it's not for own good. Because you know what happened? I hid that from everybody in my life except for a couple friends. Yeah. At that point in time, Allie knew me. I think I actually told you about this doctor visit in a dinner. I told a couple friends. I only told my fat friends. Hid it from my thin friends. Hid it from my family. They probably never knew I had a disability tag for a little bit. And at work, I would park and make sure no one I knew could see me before I walked out of that space. Bubble of shame.
No, she weaponized shame against you.
Yeah.
She weaponized it.
And that does some like really internalized shit. Like all of us might need disability support at some, like it's just, it sucks ass.
And see, that's the thing for me too. That's the thing for me too, is that there are so many fucking people. There are so many fucking people that will come for us online and point at us and all this shit, but nobody's immune from a disability, whether you're born with it or this is very morbid, but you could get in a car crash tomorrow. You don't know. You are not guaranteed the life that you're living right now, every fucking day, every fucking second.
It's true.
So to treat people as disposable and as a fucking punching bag for your insecurities is just the most disgusting, honestly lazy behavior. And again, I am looking at you, YouTube reaction content people. You honestly should be ashamed of yourselves. And I know that you want us to be ashamed of ourselves, but all we're doing is trying to put out kindness into the world and tell people that they can advocate for themselves, that they matter, that they deserve to be treated with compassion at the doctor, at a restaurant, among peers, among enemies, among who the fuck ever. Everybody deserves a little fucking empathy.
We do need to wrap this up, but it just shows there's so much to this conversation because we haven't even gotten to so much we want to talk about. But when I think about this episode, one of the things I want to emphasize as we talk about health in different ways over the course of this year, however many episodes we end up doing on the series, is there is no one right way to do health. There's no one right way to think about your body. You could feel good one day and the next day get back into that shameful spiral or be fearful of the future. You can make choices out of fear for your health that are okay. We are navigating life as best as we can with the information we have. And there are lots of messages we get about what is better for us, easier for us, etc. And I think what we need to do as we navigate health is give ourselves grace, but take no shit, right? Like really learn how to advocate for yourself. Seek out support that actually is listening and sees you as a whole person. And know that health is one aspect of life, not the only aspect of life. And with that, we make decisions as best as we can. I think I already said that. But basically what I'm saying is, I think what I'm trying to walk around the idea is I'm not coming to you as a fat activist who says you can never do X, Y, and Z. I'm coming to you as a fat activist that says fat people are people who deserve compassionate care, who should be respected, who have full lived lives, who know their bodies probably better than you know their bodies. And that means we are navigating a very complex system of health, complex things in our body since it's socially unacceptable. And it's okay to show up however you need to show up. But it is important to do no harm to others. Like it's important to think about the ways in which you do and think about things and say things that then impact others. And I think that's why so much of it for me personally, when it comes to my health, is like, I want to do XYZ for myself, and everyone else can make their own decisions. And I'm very body autonomy from that point on. That might have been squirrel. Spaghetti salad.
I think honestly, like we had talked about including this, you know, in the episode, and it still scares me a little bit because, in the same way that you scare me, Alyssa, when sometimes you are just so vulnerable with the thoughts that come into your head, and I immediately think about, well, I'm a fat activist. I'm supposed to say this. I'm not supposed to feel this way, but I think it is okay. I think it is okay to acknowledge that I'm not sitting here as a fat activist saying that anybody's life is better no matter what body you're in. Everybody faces hardships. I can recognize that being in a smaller body gives you, we've already talked about the access that gives you, right? But what it ultimately gives you is so much more access to compassion, the benefit of the doubt, to
recognition of your knowledge,
human decency, right? So yeah, is it quote unquote easier to be smaller? Sure. I won't deny that. But what I am sitting here saying, and I think what the general idea of our podcast is that you can still live an absolutely beautiful life in whatever body you're in, because you can take control and you can advocate for yourself, and you can say, just because I don't have all the access that somebody else does, doesn't mean I can't create space for myself. And I think that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, because as much as people like to say thinness is an option for everyone, thinness is not an option for everyone.
It's not.
It is not an option for everybody. And that is my number one protector against all of the hateful, hurtful online comments. So the number one thing they love to tell me is, stop eating. And I already say, bet. I already did that. I did that so much. I ended up in a medical facility.
Yeah.
It's not 1 + 1. It's not, don't do this and then you'll get this.
Screaming into the void if you need to. We just know it's not true.
It's just not true. Right? And that's when I'm like, this is when, like, I know I've said things that we don't all necessarily agree on, but I stand by. No one wants to receive this type of hate. If I had the option to be in a more societally accepted body and the privileges it comes with that, I don't know if I wouldn't take that. Why wouldn't I want the acceptance? I literally starved myself for it.
And we've all done it.
That's what I'm saying, you know? And like, that is truly my number one protector against all of the nonsense.
And I think that's what they can't understand.
Correct.
These very, very hateful, toxic people. They can't understand, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to be like us? Well, first of all, I wouldn't want to be anything fucking like you.
I don't want to be hateful.
I don't want to be anything like you hateful, shitty people with your reaction channels. I have a real fucking problem with you people. I do. But I'm thinking of one guy in particular with a very shitty mustache. Anyway.
Listen, sir, if you're going to talk about her, she can talk about you.
I mean, honestly, like, you have such an issue with fat people, but do you realize that you sit and watch videos of fat people all day, every day, and talk about fat people? Like, I think maybe you should talk to somebody and, like, not yourself on a microphone.
No, like, and when she says somebody, she means a licensed mental health professional, because what you're doing, not normal.
It's weird, man. It's weird. Get help. Anyway, to
everybody else.
To everyone else, we love you so much. No, it truly is, like, I'm not sitting here saying being fat is the best thing in the world, because I have received so much hate and shame and hurt just for living in the body that I live in. But I have done everything I can possibly think of to change this body other than medical intervention. And I don't blame anybody for going that step, for going that route, whether that's surgery, whether that's a shot, whether that's anything. Because like Alyssa said, who wouldn't snap their fingers and get that privilege.
Yeah. But these are our bodies. We are living in our bodies, and we are allowed to protect and advocate for these bodies.
Yes.
And that's all we're doing here is telling you how to show up and show up for yourself and live a beautiful life in the body that you're in.
Yeah.
And you don't, like Laura Adlington said, you don't have to live small because you live in a bigger body.
Yeah, I really think it's that. I really think it's about pressing against those limiting beliefs that you deserve the worst health care. You deserve any of that. It's just not the case. And I hope as we explore these health topics that you let us know which ones you are personally struggling with. I know that at some point we'd love to hear y'all's stories and what kind of medical things you want for yourselves, but maybe it feels like a prevented to access it, because this shit is complicated and shame makes us not talk about it with others. And it's just time to be like, I get to see the table. I get to see the table. I get to talk about this, and I get to talk about it with my doctors. I get to talk about it with strangers. I get to talk about it with mustachioed assholes. I get to talk about it to anyone I fucking please, right? And that's because it's important to me. So I'm allowed to make it important and demand it to be important to others, especially the ones that we pay to kind of give us medical care.
And what we've done here, with what Rebecca said, we deserve a seat at the table. That's what we're doing here is we've built the fucking table. Along with every other fat activist, along with every other person who is willing to stand up and say, I deserve better. We're building a table. All of us.
And I know it sounds like we're like really letting the trolls win, but I just already know they're like, yeah, I bet you're building that table. And you know what? If it's a buffet with lots of options on it, we love that for us.
Because you know what? We have no shame about going back for fucking seconds at that table while y'all are sitting there like, ooh, I don't know, maybe I can't. How sad for you.
And some of us are working through that shame.
Sorry, babe.
Oh, okay, shit. Queen.
And on that note, we're fat.
We're fab.
And we are friends. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.